right, left, shake, 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 boom! Okay, we good? So, there's a little bit of music intro, that's your chance to freestyle. You know, we have a little reality competition looking for our next trainer. This could be your moment. So let's do it, let's go. Are you freestyling?
My anaconda don't want none unless you got buns, hun.
Yes, have a seat, beautiful people. That was awesome. And some of you were making these funny faces at me, and some of you were like, ah, this is me, this is what I do. What we just did was my solution for me. I grew up in Michigan, both sides of our... Are there really that many Michiganders here? Yeah! We're the nicest people. But both sides of my family, like it's not easy to be healthy in the Midwest. And both sides of my family were overweight. And the one thing I remember about my childhood is all of my aunts and uncles always talking about being on a diet. And they were all very overweight. So the story I started telling myself as a kid is like, if you are gonna be overweight, you better diet. Like, that's the correlation I made, like, okay, people who diet are overweight. So I'm like, I'm never gonna diet, but I'm looking at the genetics I have to deal with, and I'm gonna have to do something. I mean, I was a chubby kid who was terrible in sports, the only girl cut from the freshman girls basketball team. It might have been the fact that I was wearing scrunch socks and a Go-Go's t-shirt. But athletics and exercise, it really wasn't the thing I was good at. But I knew I needed to move, and I loved music. So I would lip sync. This is the truth. I would lip sync and dance around and make up routines to the music, and that was a way of moving for me, and it made me feel so alive and so excited and invincible. And eventually I realized, like, this is exercise. Moving and feeling amazing and feeling more confident and loving it, and I didn't want to stop. And that was exercise, and that became my solution. And that solution was what helped to make me feel more confident, to make me feel more patient. When I'd exercise, I found that I was kinder, that I was nicer. I felt better about myself. And that affected all the people around me. And that's why I created my first workout program, which is called Turbo. Thank you. And Turbo eventually sold millions of DVDs. We had it in health clubs, it's been in infomercials, and the reason why Turbo did so well is because of the stories. It's not because of the number of the DVDs in the package, it's not because of the diet plan. It is because first it was my story, but then once it was an infomercial, it wasn't my story, it was your story. If you watch any of our infomercials, which I'm sure you have, you don't see the trainers much. You know why? Because your story is the secret ingredient. Your story makes it believable. Your stories would inspire someone who says, that person looks like me. I don't believe this person who's so fit and successful and has ripped abs and they developed the program. I don't know if I believe them, but I believe the woman who said she was depressed and on her couch and now has changed her life. Your story, my friends, is the unique ingredient that you have. You see, if you think you're in sales, you've missed the mark. And all the time I'll hear people say, yeah, I'm a Beachbody coach, but you know, I'm not really into sales. I'm like, are you into helping people? Are you into serving others? Why did you get into this? If you're not passionate about that, you've missed the mark. See, every person in here has the opportunity to offer the same products and the same services to all the same people. So how are you going to stand out? by offering something unique and something different and something special and something no one else has to offer. And that is your story. Your story. And everybody has a story. And sometimes the stories that we have to rewrite. Story is so powerful, more powerful to get people to do something, more powerful than anything else. I can give you data, I can give you stats, I can read you the ingredients on the back of a bag of protein. But that's not going to make you change your life. Ingredients don't make you change your life. People do. And we have to know people, we have to like people, and we have to trust people. And I don't trust you until I legit know you. I need you to lead with you. You are the only ingredient that's unique. And that's how you can make a difference in people's lives. I grew up the daughter of a serial entrepreneur, and my dad's had 1,000,001 businesses. But one thing I really appreciate about my childhood is that from a very early age, he taught us how to make money. I mean, like from the time I was 8 years old, he was teaching us about business and that we were capable. And he never said, we can't afford that. If we wanted something, my dad would say, well, let's figure out a way for you to make the money and get it. And I learned to make money, and I learned to start these little businesses. And when I was about 12, my folks had a fire. One of their businesses was burned to the ground, and they did not have business insurance. And I'll never forget my dad taking the opportunity to teach me something about business. He called me into his office, and he asked me to sit down on his big brown leather chair. And he knelt down in front of me with a little blue book. It was my bank statement book. And he said, Chalene, do you know what interest is? I said, no. He said, well, interest is something that will allow you to make money when you let someone borrow your money. And your mom and I have had a fire, and we're gonna be okay. But the money that you save, the money that you've earned, we're gonna need to borrow it. We're going to pay you back in interest. And my dad intended to teach me about interest. But in that moment, the message, the lesson I took away was, I'm saving the day. I'm 12. And I'm saving the day. This must be why I'm here. This must mean I'm worthy. So if I can make people money, then I'm worthy. I'm worthy if I can help people with money. That fueled me to be the world's greatest entrepreneur. Like even in high school, I had business after business, and through college, I put myself through college by flipping cars, buying cars cheap and then reselling them, and eventually I had an auto consignment lot, and I had personal training businesses, and eventually I started a company for certifying instructors, and then a clothing company, and then a thing called Camp Do More. And then, ultimately, we hooked up with Beachbody. And at the time, see, this is long before the network. At the time, when I met the folks at Beachbody, things weren't going so well. They just laid off most of their staff, and they were in a pretty tiny office. And I thought to myself, here we go again. I can save the day. I can save the day again. And that show was a hit, a big hit. And those first couple of checks were so big. It made everybody happy, except me. I was scared. Because I thought, I can't go down from here. I can't make less. How do I do more? I have to do more. And the only thing I knew to do was to work harder, work longer, ignore everything that I needed and my family needed, and just say yes, 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 yes. And I'll do it from home so that I can pretend that I'm present, but I wasn't present. And I'll do it from home, and I'll just ignore my kids, and I'll work my butt off, and I won't. Who needs sleep? There's Botox. And I worked myself like crazy because, and here's why I did that, because I didn't feel like I would be worthy or valuable if it wasn't more successful than the last. And guess what? Program gave people amazing results, but it didn't work on TV. And Beachbody, week after week, would call and say, we've got bad news. Show's not working. But don't worry, we're gonna put more money into it. That was hard. Because then that meant not only was I no longer valuable or worthy, I was costing them money. And that was a story I told myself all my life. And I didn't have an ounce left in me to work harder. Sometimes we carry stories with us that aren't logical. I want you to ask yourself if you're carrying a story formed perhaps when you were a kid that doesn't make sense. And if it's not time for you to rewrite your story. And that's what I did. I had a choice. It didn't make sense. I couldn't work hard. I'm a valuable person. I know I am. I have to change what's important to me. I have to start doing things not because I'm trying to prove my worth, but because it's the right thing to do. I've got to learn to say yes to certain things and no to most all others. I need to learn to work smart, not just work and work and work and work and work. I got to pick my battles and I've got to decide what matters, because I've had it with this stress success. I want to be smart about my success. I want to feel good about my decisions. I want my children to have the right story. And when I made that change, I assumed the amount that I was earning would go down. Ladies and gentlemen, when you decide to serve others as your goal, when you decide to be vulnerable and share your story with a purpose, you will find your blessings are abundant. You see, what people connect with is the mess before our success. That's what makes you real. That's what makes you believable. That's what makes me trust you. You have to share your story. And you have to know how it relates to the point. What's the point you're trying to make? You do this for a reason. How did you get here? What was it like before and where are you now? You see, so many people, they think they have one story. Or they think that their story is like this terrible thing that they went through. No, you have 100 stories. Every story you tell has to have a purpose to it. If there's no hope in your story, it's the wrong story to tell. If you're not the hero of that story yet, it's not time yet. You need to make yourself the hero of that story. If your story doesn't lift people up and makes them realize, God, this is possible for me. Like, I could do this too. Then it's not time for you to tell your story. But for most of you here, it is time for you to tell your story. And you've got to start doing that. And guess what? There has never been a time ever before in our history for you to do that and captivate people and turn that the purpose and the positivity and that passion that you have for helping people into profits. It just happens. It's a byproduct when you help people. You see, when I started sharing with people, what happened? I assumed no one is ever going to buy into this idea that you can do less and be more. We are not in sales. We need to get people to change. We're people who inspire. And if you're going to inspire people to change, which is really freaking scary, you've got to tap into their emotions. And there's only one way to tap into people's emotions: story.